Okay, we are back. I'm gonna just, I know Tammy said she could hear me. If everyone could just give a thumbs up that you can hear me, I would appreciate that. Looks like everyone's got themselves on mute. Great, thank you guys. All right, any questions before we get started? Hi, Debbie. All right, so this is for you guys, so please just interrupt. The intent of this webinar is just to give you a brief overview of responsibilities, expectations, and timelines. A lot of it is fluid because, and as I get into the presentation, you'll know why it's fluid, but very informal. Just if you are a person who doesn't like the spotlight and just want to have a question and don't want to ask it in front of everyone, put it in the chat and I can get back to you later. Others might have the same question though. So as I mentioned, I am recording this and this will be put on the website. So if you guys want to send it on to someone else or refresh yourself, it will be there. Or you can also attend the one that I have scheduled in August, which is during normal business hours. And then always, as always, you can always call me. I'm kind of learning with you guys with this enhanced modeling that we're having to do because we disperse the money ahead of time. So there's always unique situations and it just helps refine answers. So as we get started, again, just please interrupt me if you guys have any questions. I just wanted to briefly just review the different partners. It's not just the Bureau, but you're going to be dealing with the division of the Idaho military and then also the state controller's office. I'll be your primary contact. That has changed a little bit, whereas before previously subgrants would contracts with DHW would reach out to get signatures, but I'll be doing that. So it should be pretty seamless for you guys. You might have to deal with the state controller's office if there happens to be an issue with your vendor number, supplier number, or address. And I can help walk you through that. I just won't be able to do it for you. So the responsibilities of the Bureau, from the close of application through August, we do all this, the reviewing, and it's quite lengthy. Even without the transfer IMD, the application intake process is quite lengthy. A master template of the subgrant was submitted back in July to our the Idaho Military Division to see if they had any input, and I expect to get that back here shortly, where I can begin drafting individual specifics for each of you guys. So as soon as I get that input from them, I will be submitting the subgrant drafts to the division for their input. And then what they do is they'll work with the state controller's office to log your subgrant into the system. And then also they will add some terms and conditions that are all the latest legalese based on the DAG's input. So your responsibilities, as soon as you get that subgrant, draft subgrant, I need you to sign and return it to me. This is what it looks like if you haven't seen one before. And what you're going to do, I can't use my pointer with sharing the screen, but I want you to, if you see, if you're looking at this cover sheet on the right-hand side, there's like two columns. So the subgrantee column, you're going to want to make sure the agency name and the address is here. Now, for some agencies, I don't want to pick on anyone, but let's just say there is an ABC emergency medical services agency, but they belong to XYZ hospital. So more than likely, the agency name under that subgrantee will be the XYZ hospital, but under on the left-hand side in that second row down, the subgrant name will be your guys' name. So you want to make sure that the names look familiar to you. I'm using it off, I've taken it off the W-9, cross-referenced it into the state controller's office, based on recent payments, last subgrant, to make sure that we have the correct supplier number, vendor number, and agency listed there. So you guys want to check that. And then also the subgrant total. And then at the bottom, when you see contact name, contact phone, and the email address, make sure that's all correct before you sign it. Let me see, I'm trying to get to the next slide. I keep losing my mouse. Right there is where you're going to sign it. So this is on a second sheet. So you just want to sign that. If you guys don't have signing authority, that's fine. You there's the contact that I'm going to be dealing with constantly. I'm assuming what you put on the application. If you have a clerk or treasurer has to sign it, that's fine. Just adhere to your own rules within your organization. Okay, so once you sign and return it, our goal is within 3 days. I'm not quite sure the impact of us, the Bureau of EMS coming over to military division. I have no idea what kind of load that is going to be for them. So I want to make sure that we turn this stuff around pretty quickly, instead of waiting and missing our window of opportunity. As soon as you sign and return that draft subgrant, I'd like you to begin working with your vendor to secure a post-award quote. The purpose of the post-award quote, it is, I apologize upfront, it is extra, but the intent of it is so that if your file is audited, we can show the auditor they applied for XYZ communication pieces. Look, they've got the quote for the XYZ communication pieces, but it's from ABC company, but the amounts are the same, the quantities of the radios are similar. We just want to show that you guys didn't go rogue on us and purchase something else. So that's why a post-award quote is necessary. Now, with that said, you guys I've had this happen where an agency has gotten a quote to submit with the application, and upon further research or whatever, a sale, items going out of stock, who knows what, that they have been able to realize a huge savings and purchase more with the money. Now, and that's exactly what they did. Let's just say they asked for 10 radios, but they found a better deal. It was similar radios, similar features, but they were able to get 15 with the money. So you are allowed to do that, but we do need that post-award quote. And when you're, then you can, and also please don't place the order for equipment until after the receipt of your fully executed subgrant, which I will get to you. Here's the reason for that. Not only do you have the quote with the application, and then you have the post-award quote, then at the end of the subgrant, you have to send me an invoice. And if that date supersedes the subgrant date, or drifts into the period of once you submitted the application to before you got your subgrant, that could cause a major heartache for all of us. So just make sure I realize that there's a lot of lead time on a lot of this equipment. So I understand if you are working with a vendor to make sure that you get that piece of equipment and not in a backlog. Just make sure that the invoice that you're going to be submitting at the end when we close out the grant is going to be after that subgrant start date. So when the draft goes to you, you send it back to me with your agency's signature on it. I take it to our contracts, and then our contracts manager will sign it. And then I will send it to you. As soon as you get that, everything's full speed ahead. And what you're going to need to do is submit a disbursement form to the Bureau for payment. we have to document that you guys, in the past, we just created the invoicing, and I think we had you sign it. We kind of were counseled on that, on not to do that. So we need you to submit the disbursement. And I would say just as soon as I get you that a fully executed subgrant, turn around and send me that disbursement form asking for the money. The disbursement form needs to have the post-award quote, which you've already been working on because you know that you've signed the contract and it's, or the subgrant, and it's coming your way. So you need to attach that, and all of this also needs to be included on the disbursement form. Or you could just use the template. We have the template on idahoems.org, and it has all the information in there. So the date, we want to make sure that the agency formats this in a way that the letterhead of the agency is on it, and that the address that is on the W-9 on your award letter, that everything connects, right? That the award letter has the same address as the subgrant as this disbursement form. I feel like I'm sailing like really quickly. Is there any questions? Okay, very good.
Well, actually, I do have
Sure.
a set of, this is Marshall Ralph from the Camas EMS
Okay.
thing. So I'm not quite sure how we fit into the sequence here, because our prosecutor directs us to get final bids from at least 2 suppliers.
Mm-hmm.
And so where in there do you see us inviting bids and then reviewing bids and awarding? Is that?
My suggestion would be is to start working on those bids now.
Okay.
Okay, because this is going to be, so the date, so then you have your bids, and then you can take it to your prosecutor, and then he can look at them, or she can look at them, and then you guys can make the determination of where you go. And then you could also use that bid as a post-award quote.
All right. Okay. Oh, one more thing here.
Mm-hmm.
I would guess that one of the suppliers who will invite to bid will probably not be able to deliver the ambulance until at least the following fiscal year, 27. So do we have to be, in that case, do we get disperse the money and then spend it upon delivery in fiscal 27? Is that possible?
Yes, it is. So,
okay.
And I'm going to get a little bit more into that, but with this, we advance the money, and that is, I don't want to say it's actually state statute says we're not allowed to advance money like any agency, but that's why we call it a disbursement form. We have the DAG and now JAG's approval to do that, so we're not fudging on anything, but we do that. And there has been, with COVID, there was such a backlog. It's my understanding that sometimes we make sure to spend the money in the fiscal year that we awarded it, but we have the subgrant term for a whole nother fiscal year, if that makes sense. But with vehicles, some have gone past the term, the 18-month or the 2-year term. And what we'll want to do, which when we get into monitoring, we'll have quarterly check-ins, and we'll want to amend the subgrant just to extend the term.
Okay, I see. Oh, so that's workable then.
Yeah, totally workable.
Okay.
Totally.
All right, thank you.
That's the one big thing is that we want to make sure that we do expend the money before the following fiscal year, so before June of 2026. And ideally, I'd like to have the money out by December, because we begin the next grant year, the work is so heavy in starting the grant year with
Oh.
the application and getting that in January.
Right.
So I really kind of like, if at all possible, I try to have everyone buttoned up by
Sure.
December. It's
Yeah.
before I move into the next calendar year.
Okay,
You
thank
know, but
you.
there's
That's,
always those stragglers, and sometimes it's not because of you guys. We're just in a boat in the sea, just letting it take us wherever.
oh yeah, I know that feeling.
Okay, so that disbursement form, and once I get done with this PowerPoint, I will go out to the website to show you where you can find these forms. Okay, so once you submit that disbursement form, Bureau for Payment, whoops, there's two different routes we can get. For equipment that's going to take longer than 90 days, and these are loose terms, okay? I would just say I'm trying to streamline what the paperwork that you guys have to do, because it's new to you in these last couple of years. So for equipment / vehicles that you're not going to have wrapped up, ordered, received, and paid for within 90 days, it is important for us to document that you have deposited those grant funds. This is just as simple as sending me a bank statement or sending me a validated deposit slip. This is because at any time a file can be audited. I believe because of, well, maybe since we're the military division, that won't be the case. But I just know the last 2 years that I've been in this role, each legislative session, I have had several subgrants pulled to be audited. Luckily, everything was in order, but with some news I heard, anyways, I think there's going to be more audits, and I just want to make sure that we stay on top of that. So we want to make sure that since we are dispersing the funds before you guys are incurring the expenses, that we make sure that we document that, see, it went into the bank, it's being safely held. And that, as I mentioned, that's due to the enhanced monitoring because of the prepayment. Now, so I will need that deposit or proof of deposit, I would say 30 to 45 days after you receive your check. I say 30 to 45 days because not everyone has access to online banking, right? You guys are probably going to have to ask a treasurer, that kind of thing. But if you can just show me the validated deposit slip and or a bank statement within that 45 days, we're good to go. Now, if you will have everything completed within 90, let's say even I'll go as far as 120 days, there's no reason for you to document that you've made a deposit, because to close out your grant after you receive your vehicle or your equipment and have made payment, you have to supply that financial information to me anyways. So I feel like it's just extra work if you have to document a deposit and then document that you've paid it. So if we can get it done fairly quickly, and again, the clock starts ticking as soon as you receive the check from us. So you might want to plan your time, like, okay, yeah, I got my executed subgrant, but I know that piece of equipment is probably 6 to 8 days out. So instead of submitting the disbursement form and ask for that money right now, I'm gonna wait 30 days and then send it off to Gail. Then she'll get me paid. The equipment will be arriving. I get the check, I'm writing the payment. Does that make sense? We have some fluidity there. It's just, I don't want to get caught if we're into 6 months and we have no documentation that a check went out to you guys, but I have no proof that you have purchased the equipment or deposited the funds. Okay, so as I mentioned, documentation of the funds being deposited. Now, for those pieces of equipment and the instance like with the vehicles where they're going to take a year to 18 months, what I will do is, and I will be proactive in this, I will be sending you this communication in the email, like, here's your subgrant. Don't forget, you need to send me the disbursement form. Received your disbursement form, your payment's gone out. Once I get all those disbursement forms, then I start sending reminders to people, say, hey, I haven't gotten your deposit. So there's a lot of communication. And I will set up those quarterlies based on that communication. Like, I hear from you that, it's going to be at least 4 to 6 months before I get my equipment. I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to schedule you a quarterly check-in so that we can just touch base to see when the equipment is expected and that your funds are still there. Most people or most agencies, now that they've kind of gotten in the swing of things, even I scheduled the check-in. Most of them don't even call me. They just send me this stuff. They use it as just as a place marker on their calendar. It's like, oh, that's right. I've got to send the quarterly bank statement to Gail and let her know where the vehicle's at. But I also like to schedule it on the calendar in the event, like with vehicles, because there's some extra layers of documentation with the vehicle. It's just there is that time that you guys can call me and we don't miss each other and play phone tag. This I just added here, provide any pertinent documents, because that is terms, that's verbiage in the subgrant, documents that the compliance officer put there. I don't know, whatever it could be, but it is that something that we could ask for and that you just need to get to me kind of timely. Okay. So let's just say, so now we've gotten the equipment, we've paid for it, and we're kind of want to go ahead and close out the grant, even though the term might still be open. What you're going to need to do is fill out an accounting form. And the accounting form basically is showing me the invoice again. That's the 3 dots. This is what they asked for. This is what they were seeking. This is what they got. And then the financial aspect of it, the payment. So I want to see the invoice and then the proof of payment. And here's the example of the accounting form. And again, I will show this to you guys where to access it. You see it's pretty step by step. One, the invoice, what it needs to have on it. We need to make sure that it wasn't Joe, your friend, who sold it to you, but that it's actually coming from a business, and the proof of payment. And lots of times I get a copy of a check, but it's just the front of the check. And the way compliance has written the terms in the subgrant, it can't just be the front copy of the check. I need to see the actual stamp on the back of the endorsement that it went through and was actually deposited, or a bank statement. So the invoice needs to match the written check, front and back copy, or a bank statement. I don't need both, just one or the other. And then almost immediately when I get that accounting form and everything is accurate on it, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and send you a closeout letter. Closeout letter is kind of your like your package all wrapped up with a neat bow, so that if Gail loses her mind or whatever, and she comes to you and say, hey, I don't have an accounting for it. Nope, I got this closeout letter. It's your filing system. So you want to make sure you hold on to that. And it also outlines basically that we're not on the hook for anything more, even though the subgrant term is still live. We've paid everything out. There's been no amendments. And it also addresses the 5-year security term that we have on the equipment. The very latest, you'll get that 30 days before the end of the subgrant, but I've been trying to really actively, as soon as I get the accounting form, to send it right out, just so that we both have the documentation and we don't continue to return to the vomit of the dog. If you're not getting that vehicle, or for whatever reason, I had one agency who received their equipment, but it was faulty or broken, or I'm not quite sure. So they're still, and this is from 24, they're still fighting with the vendor to get the right equipment. So we needed to make sure, we wanted to amend their subgrant so we could extend the end date. So if I haven't talked to you recently and you know that you haven't gotten your vehicle or equipment and the end date is coming up, you're going to want to make sure you reach out to me at least 90 days ahead so that we can get that amendment taken care of. It's pretty easy. Um, the 5-year security interest. Now, I think you guys are all aware of this. For the vehicles, it's been kind of, well, you just know because we hold the lien on it and then we release the interest. But something that compliance noticed is that we weren't really documenting the 5-year security interest on the equipment. And it's pretty cut and dry. Just you're unable to sell or transfer that equipment until 5 years have passed, beginning 30 days after the invoice date. And so and broken equipment must be replaced. This inspection or inventory taken every 2 years. Now this is for pieces of equipment that are over $2,000 because that's our capital threshold. So we have to adhere to that. And it pretty much, the extent of it is, hey, it's Gail. Do you still have that power gurney that you're awarded in 23? Is it still in your possession? Email back, yes, it is. It's operating just fine. Okay, I'll check in with you in 2 more years. Still there? Yep, it's still there. And then on the 5th year, I send you a document that says we no longer hold an interest. I think, as I get into these rules or these practices that they're asking me to roll out or implement, I always think about what were they thinking when they asked this, because it's just kind of silly, this whole honor system kind of thing. But it's just our way to document that, an agency isn't applying for funds and then I guess selling the stuff on eBay. We might want to also like with the one agency that I just told you about where the equipment wasn't working, maybe the Bureau wants to be aware of a certain vendor that is maybe selling secondhand stuff as new, who knows? But that's the best I can come up with. But it's pretty painless. It's just record keeping. We're not actually going to come out there. We actually thought we were going to have to do it, to have to go onto sites every 2 years to inventory the equipment. And thankfully, those who have worked in positions like you guys were like, that's next to impossible. Like, what if there's a call? What if it's 15 radios and they're across this many things? How are we going to have them all there? We just gonna sit and wait for them all to come in one by one and stuff. So thankfully, just the sending the email works. They have been okay with that thus far. Okay, and that's pretty much the end of it. I just wanted to cover this, guys, the best practices here. I'm guilty of this myself. I use my personal email as opposed to EMS grants. It's probably best if you guys send me an email to me and then also EMS grants. The reason for that is the state has a policy that they only will hold on to an account for 30 days and then they just, get rid of it. So, my communication, if I happen to transfer out or move on or get hit by a bus, that it's EMS grants will always be there. So the person who fills in for me or picks it up will be able to get that information. It also asks that you use the grant year and name. This particular for you guys with this award, it's FY26 EMSAVE, your agency name, and your subgrant number. So going back to the 5-year security interest, on any given day, I'm dealing with 5 years of grants. So that just helps me narrow it down to if you're asking a question about a specific, that I'm looking at in the right folder in the right year. One agency point of contact is appreciated. Staffing changes, and additional contacts must be done timely in the subgrant terms. It says if you're changing, if you're moving on or whatever, we need to be notified within 30 days. And it has to be in writing because we change things. So we have to have that documentation showing that you guys did ask us to change that. And then the resources, idahoems.org. I have everything there. Do you guys have any questions before I go out to the website to show you where we can find stuff?
Nothing for me.
Okay. Let me just stop sharing. Will we stop? Nope. There we go. Okay, there we go. I can see it on my personal laptop. Can everyone else see it? idahoems.org. It's new within, I would say, the last 6 to 9 months. You're going to go to EMS grants. Here's the award list. This is where I will put this recording and this slide deck for you guys to reference. Here's a link to the second webinar if you guys want to attend that. And here are the forms. So the disbursement form that we talked about, if you have, Marshall, did anyone else on the call get a vehicle? Nope. Okay. Vehicles, I was just going to say very quickly, I've had, so the vehicle, there's very specific way to register the vehicle, to title it. And I will chat with you more on that since no one else has a vehicle. Okay. But it causes a lot of extra heartburn for those who title it wrong. And then just want you to reiterate that I'm here as a resource for you guys to help you walk you through it. But anyways, back to this. Everything's here. And then it's never too soon to begin thinking about next year's grant cycle that will open up in January, that first Monday in January, and all the guidelines are there. And then when the application is open, it will be here, right here in this little box, and then the rest of this stuff will drop down here under resources. I feel like that's the general timeline that we put together before going to IMD. Here's past awards. That's pretty much it. Oh, Garden Valley was awarded a vehicle. So yeah, does anyone have any questions? And if you guys don't have questions, I'll just briefly review the stuff with the vehicle people just to give them an overview of what is needed. Everything can actually, no problems ever cure if we just stay in communication. Like literally, if we finish step 3, I tell you what step 4 is and what the timing is in the email. I will let you know with links and all that. No questions?
I do have one, Gail. This is
Okay.
Austin with Garden Valley. I think this is okay from what you've said, but in our grant application, we put in a quote for a 2025 model year.
Mhm.
And from talking with that dealer, they may not be able to get that said model year. It may be a 26. Is there
Yeah,
any
yeah.
issues with that? Were you able to change that?
There's no issues.
Okay, perfect. Thank
No
you.
issues. I will tell you there was an issue, and I think this will explain more clearly. So, ABC agency said that they wanted a particular rig. It wasn't an ambulance. Actually, it might have even been an ambulance. It might have been, they might have asked for an ambulance, but instead they got a non-transport. So there's patient transport and non-transport, and that's what they did. They went ahead and got a non-transport, and then they put like all the bells and whistles on it and spent up to the ambulance money that they were given. We can't do that. So as long as it's basically, was yours a non-transport, Austin? I can't remember.
Yes, it was
Yeah.
non-transport.
Yeah, so you're just gonna wanna make sure that it's, basically the same, that we're not, does that make sense? Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
or
that's all
someone,
that's all we're looking to do is it'll be the same, exact same non-transport. It's just going to be a different model year.
yeah. Yeah, and something I found out in, I think it was just this past year, in reviewing some quotes for vehicles, uh, it doesn't even have to be a new vehicle. I mean, they have awarded for used vehicles, so it just has to remain like. Any other questions before I go deeper into the vehicle stuff? Okay, so with the vehicles, and like I said, I communicate this with you guys. So the agency can be listed as the owner, but they have to have their endorsing city or county as the owner one. A lot of people, I don't think they've noticed that, but so like, that's what I've been trying to do. Like when we get closer to the vehicles, I like pull the verbiage out of the subgrant and say, hey, so you need to, this is how, in fact, let me just pull that up. This is going to change because of the military division, but I still have some that are getting vehicles under this. So the vehicle has to be titled within 30 days. So owner one needs to be the city or county entity that provided the endorsement. You guys, the agency is more than welcome to list themselves as a second owner. You guys can have 3 owners if you want, but the endorsing agency or the endorsing entity needs to be listed as owner. And then when we come down here, just like if you go to, the car lot and you get a loan on your car, you don't, it's your car, you have possession of it, but there is a lien on it. That will be us for the period of 5 years. Here's the reason for that. We want to make sure the calculations for the scoring of the vehicles is so competitive. We want to make sure that that vehicle stays in the area that the application came from. With, I guess, I have not experienced, but I guess it's not, um, I don't know if it's a common occurrence, but I understand that sometimes agencies do fold or are absorbed or that kind of thing. So we will just want to make sure that we have those 2 or 3 parties on here, so we make sure that the vehicle doesn't wind up in a field rotting or being sold or whatever that case could be potentially. So, if there is a problem with the endorsing government entity being on the certificate of title, that's something you guys are probably gonna need to like reach out to me sooner rather than later so we can begin to get those higher up on the food chain to explain the situation and see what the remedy will be. In addition to, so I will send, when you guys get close to your vehicles, I'll be sending you this form and I'll write it in the email as well, like what your next steps are. I've had city clerks who think that they've known better and they don't want to do this. They'll like, well, your EMS agency is completely separate from our ABC County. Yes, that may be true. You guys might have your own finance, who knows, however that organization is set up, but it is in state statute that that vehicle has to remain in the area of the endorser. So you could get pushback on that. It's a little confusing, but it's I feel like with this step by step, you should run into as few as problems as possible, except for those ones who think that they are know a little bit more. And that's what sometimes I've had to send them the title and the statute to them and say, yes, I totally understand. And I can't even remember what area of Idaho it was. I'm like, but this ambulance was for the community, not necessarily for the Emergency Medical Services Agency, and that's why it needs to be titled that way. We need to be on the insurance, and that's pretty self-explanatory there. We send you decals. If you title it correctly, I get the title. I just take a copy of it. I'll put it back I'll send it in the mail to you with the decals. And then also let you know in your closeout letter when to request the release. It is my ultimate goal, I hope, that I will get so organized that I will be proactive in sending out the satisfaction of liens before you guys even asked for them, but I haven't gotten to that point yet. But it's pretty easy. We just have to collect signatures from different executives within the organization. Now at DHW, it required like 2 different buildings from where we were at. With us being the military division, I believe the signature will only be from our bureau chief, so we'll be a little bit quicker on that. But I have had a few instances where agencies have had their vehicle for 10, 15 years, and then they decide to take it to the auction house and have it auctioned off. And then guess what? The owner's like, I can't title it because DHW has a lien on it. How's that? Like, it's totally confusing. And then we have to do some backtracking. But like I said, I'm trying to get these calendared so that between you and I, that we get that taken care of timely instead of waiting for an oh geez moment.
Well, this is Marshall.
Uh-huh.
I had one of those OG moments
Yeah.
about 2 years ago, about a year and a half ago, and you were very helpful in getting us figured out so we could deal with that. So
Well,
thank
I'm
you
glad
for
to hear
that.
that.
Yeah.
So you broke
I mean,
me in. I've only
well,
been in this position. I think this is my 2nd year. So yeah. I have one now up in North. It's crazy because they lost the title. Anyways, it's just I hope to, like I said, I hope I get organized enough that that's taken care of proactively.
well, I hope I do better this time. So
You'd always pick up the phone. I don't know if so many people don't like to chat on the phone, but I'm always happy to take a phone call and just walk you through the steps of whatever needs to be done.
thank you.
Yes. Anyone else have any questions? This like zippity doodah went super quick. Let me check.
No questions for me.
I was just up in Garden Valley. Saw one station, I think. Do you have more than one?
We do. We have 3 total. So you were talking about the liens on the titles. I know I just found out that we still have a lien on a 13-year-old vehicle that so I'll be contacting you about getting that fixed.
Okay, and I can tell you right now, all you need to do, Austin, is if you just like send me the registration or the title, and it's understandable if you can't find the title, but if you can send me the registration, because there's, I think, a title number on there. I need more than the VIN, but the information's on the title. If you send that, just scan it in an email to me, I'll get that started.
Perfect. Yeah, we do
And
still
it-
have the title, so I'll send it to you.
Okay. I expect right now, because we're just still, because that will be under DHW, so I'll need to get their signatures. I would say it might take me up to 3 weeks, but I'll just be in communication with you and let you know. I'll let you know, hey, I got this. I sent it off. It should be, because it is a release of lien, I send them certified return receipt with signature required, just so that the don't land in the wrong hands. So that's like the biggest inconvenience, that you might need to go to the post office, but I'll give you a heads up and let you know it's headed your way.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions, guys? I am gonna this is my number in case something comes up. If you guys are anything like me, I remember those questions when I start getting into something else. But yeah, you could shoot me an email or give me a call. That actually, let me give you my cell number. I also have found texting. Some agencies, as you guys zoom in and out, that works out well for you guys. So let me give you I don't know it off the top of my head because it's one of those new numbers. It's 986, new area code 236-1179. It's just for random questions. If you just need to know something real quick, that clerk is trying to register your vehicle under a fake name or whatever, you should shoot me a text. Okay, well, that's about all I have it for you guys. Appreciate seeing everyone. And I'm just gonna hang out until everyone else drops off, because maybe someone wants to ask a question privately.
Thank you for doing this.
Oh, of course,
Yep.
you guys have a great evening, okay?
You too.
Thank
Thank,
you, Gail.
Congratulations, you're all winners.
thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.